We're here at the National Foundation Kidney Surf Competition going on here in Cocoa Beach Pier with Talk to Me radio station WMEL going live right here from the pier.
Broadcasting live from the Oh Shucks Seafood Bar on Cocoa Beach by the pier. This is American Warrior Radio. Welcome to another exciting edition of American Warrior Radio, the place to be for news, notes, interviews, and current events for all issues military and veteran related. If you or someone you know has ever worn the uniform of the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, or National Guard or Reserves, you've come to the right place. American Warrior Radio right here on the Talk to Me station, AM 1300 WMEL, sponsored by AVET Project. And folks, we're coming to you live from Oh Shucks Seafood Bar. It is an awesome day. We are out here celebrating the 27th annual National Kidney Foundation Pro-Am Surf event. You don't want to miss this. It's going on all weekend, actually all week. But let me tell you, this program is all about supporting our troops and their families, both past and present. So please, get comfortable, get a cup of coffee, grab a pen, paper, because we're always efforting to bring you important information that you can use. With that said, let's roll down the runway and get this show off the ground. As you all know, my name is Garen Cohn. I'm an Air Force veteran, a retired legal advocate for veterans, and founder of AVET Project, but I never fly through the airwaves alone.
Good morning. I'm Glenn McGuffey, manager of your Brevard County Veteran Services team, and I'm retired Air Force, and we're going to have a special guest today who probably take exception to all those Air Forces around here today. And I'll throw it back over to Garen and let him start the introduction so we can get the ball rolling here.
Folks, we are very pleased, number one, not with just our location, thanks to Steve and Larry Bussey and their engineer here setting up this live remote. It's a fantastic day. We urge everybody to come down and say hello to anybody here that's going to be broadcasting with WMEL. I know we've got Lillian McDermott coming up here later. Just come on down. You're going to come to the surf event, pop into Oh Shucks Seafood Bar. I've got their menu right in front of me, and it is a pretty extensive menu. And you know what? It's affordable too. So if you're hungry, you want a beverage, you're out here for the event, stop on in. Tony is the one that's doing our engineering. Thank you so much, Tony. Glenn, you mentioned we have a special guest. Folks, we want to introduce you to someone who's very important to our local area. He is the new commander of the U.S. Coast Guard Station, Port Canaveral, Charles B. Perry. Say hello, Commander.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm really excited about being here today and getting some information out to the folks out there.
Well, we challenged you and your team to come up with a name for this segment because, folks, we're going to make it a regular segment so that you have some information about what's going on. What'd you come up with? What's our segment title?
Well, we had a couple of guys at the station, and we all got together during a morning muster and came up with the bosun call.
I like it. Explain the bosun call.
The bosun call is if you've ever watched those old movies or anything, and you see the piping, the whistle that you hear on deck of a ship before a command is given, that's the bosun pipe, and the bosun call is that pipe. So what we decided to do is maybe do a bosun call every week so that we can get some information out to the people.
Outstanding. Really appreciate that because you are such a big part of this community in more ways than a lot of people even realize. But let's talk about you for a moment. I know you guys never like to toot your own horn, but the audience wants to know who's in charge of our waterways around here. Commander, give us a little background. How long have you been in the Coast Guard? What have been some of maybe your most recent duty assignments?
Okay. I came in the Coast Guard close to 23 years now, so October it'll be 23 years. I went to college for 2 years and was having way too much fun and going down the wrong way, and I saw an old commercial on TV. And this is pretty interesting. I saw a commercial on TV. I think it was Lou Gossett Jr. actually was doing a Coast Guard commercial, and I'm from Missouri originally, which there's no ocean around there. So anyway, I called the number and I actually recruited myself by mail. So I mailed everything off. They got back in touch with me, and the next thing you know, I was in boot camp. From there,
where did you boot camp?
I went to boot camp in Cape May, New Jersey. It's the only training center for boot camp in the Coast Guard. Which is kind of different. At one time, they actually thought about moving the boot camp of Coast Guard into Orlando, believe it or not. but the weather would have been a lot nicer. I could tell you, because New Jersey in the wintertime was not much fun. Anyway,
the idea is to be prepared for all conditions.
That's right. That's right. So we, you know, you battle from 100-degree heat in the summer to freezing temperatures in the winter there. I actually spent some time going back to Cape May, New Jersey for 3 years. I was in the Coast Guard, we call it company commanders instead of a drill instructor. So I spent 3 years in Cape May pushing recruits. Right, that's right. I did about 1,200 recruits while I was there. So after that, I got back into the Coast Guard, they call it, and I went to a couple patrol boats. Spent some time in the Gulf of Mexico on patrol boats in Louisiana and the West Coast.
What would be some of your missions on those patrol boats?
Mostly, this was before 9/11, so the mission was basically living marine resources. We went out and did a lot of shrimp boats, longliners, things like that, and also interdiction of drugs and migrants. So that was our main mission.
Yeah, that seems to be a role that many people are familiar with the Coast Guard is the drug interdiction, and I think a role that they're not familiar with would be the Coast Guard's involvement in wartime service. I know you were telling me earlier that there's currently ships out close to Bahrain, right. And I know, and a lot of people don't realize it, even those that went over there, that the Coast Guard participated quite extensively in the Vietnam War.
Yes, sir. Yes, we've actually, the Coast Guard has been in every war since the Quasi-War, you know, so a lot of people don't realize that we are very active. We have patrol boats in the Gulf over there. When I was I just came from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, which a lot of people don't even know that there is a Coast Guard detachment aboard the Camp Lejeune Marine Corps base. On that base, we spend most of our time training. It's a special missions training center for the Coast Guard, which perform ports and waterways security mission on the boats, interdiction mission, and believe it or not, we do have our own assault force. A lot of people don't even understand that, but the Coast Guard does have an assault force that all trains with the Marines and the Navy on board Camp Lejeune.
Oh, wow.
You just came from, before your most recent duty assignment before this, was at Camp Lejeune?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was in charge of the boat branch, training the interdiction mission as well as the ports and waterways security mission. While I was there, I actually sent 3 teams to Iraq that worked with the Royal Marines over there, training the Iraqis so that they could perform some of the boat missions there themselves.
Oh, very interesting. And I know you said there's no involvement in the Strait of Hormuz at this point in time for the Coast Guard. I guess that's all a Navy standby, maybe interdict. Who knows what the Iranians will be doing. But I know you had a recent birthday party for the Coast Guard. How old was the Coast Guard, and how'd that party go?
It was great. We had the Coast Guard's birthday was August 4th.
How old?
222 years.
Wow.
The Coast Guard's been in service.
23 of which you've been serving.
That's right, yeah, a small portion of that. You know that there's 40,000 or so active duty Coast Guardsmen, smallest service, but we're spread over a large distance. Like I said, they're over in the Gulf right now. They're in Singapore, believe it or not. Which
what assets are they protecting or watching over in Singapore?
It's a marine safety detachment doing inspections of cargo vessels and things like that. Actually, I went over there myself. Because of the pirates, you know, it's not too far from the straits. So what we did over there is we went and taught them how to interdict pirates. So I got to spend a week over there. It was awesome. Beautiful place. Beautiful place.
Wonderful. And you mentioned the Coast Guard's mission, honestly, from the Bay Area. I mean, from both coasts, but the inland waterways as well.
Right. All the inland waterways, including the Great Lakes. Believe it or not, there's Coast Guard in Oklahoma.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
What would the Coast Guard be doing in Oklahoma?
Working the rivers. We also work the Mississippi rivers all through Pittsburgh. There's a Coast Guard through there.
And you guys get all this mission done with 40,000 troops?
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Very efficient group of people.
I guess so.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I had a former warrant officer Coast Guard guy worked for me for about 3 years.
Okay.
He always brought something different to the table, and I think he helped out getting Coast Guard people to come to us for veterans benefits. And sometimes they would come in and not think that they qualified for any veterans benefits, but maybe born of the fact that y'all work for Homeland Security or.
Right. That's the biggest misconception, and you hear it a lot of times that we don't even get mentioned in the same breath sometimes as military service, and it's because our unique relationship with the law enforcement aspect. You couldn't really be Department of Defense and be enforcing the laws and treaties of the United States unless it's under like martial law or something,
Right.
So we actually started out Department of Treasury. Alexander Hamilton figured out that back in the Rum Wars and back in the days of piracy, they figured they would have 12 Coast Guard cutters. Came up with the Revenue Cutter Service, which is actually doing kind of the same thing that we're doing right now. Posted themselves outside of ports and inspected vessels as they come in. So it's, from way back to the First Continental Congress, the Coast Guard has been doing that mission.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your mission here at Port Canaveral,
Okay.
because it's a very, very active installation. You guys do an incredible job here, but give a thumbnail sketch for our listeners as to some of the activities you guys are involved with.
Well, the footprint we have here at Station Port Canaveral is it's probably one of the biggest Coast Guard stations, I would say, as far as the different detachments we have on board. We have a Marine Safety Detachment, which conducts inspections of all the cruise ships that come in and out of the port. We also have an Electronic Support Detachment out of here that works with computers and the ships that we have. We have two 210-foot medium endurance cutters that are out of this base. A small patrol boat, 87-foot patrol boat. We also have at the station a 45-foot response boat, which this boat is outstanding. It's a brand new boat in the Coast Guard, costs a couple $1 million. It's jet drive, and it doesn't have a ship's wheel, which you get on a boat and you don't know where the ship's wheel is. An old guy like myself, it's amazing. It's ran by joystick, and it's
You'll say you must be part tank driver.
That's almost the same premise. Well, anyway, then we have a couple of small boats that we can go into shallow waters. As you know, back in the Banana River, and so it gets pretty shallow. So we have some shallow water response boats. But the main mission here for us is providing security for those cruise ships, and then the Navy base that's up at the end of the pier. We provide a little bit of security. I know it's hard for those Navy guys to take that a Coast Guard guy is out there protecting them when they come in. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, they'll appreciate that. As Navy's playing Notre Dame this morning over in Ireland.
Yeah.
And you're a Notre Dame fan.
Big time Notre Dame fan. Huge.
Well, touchdown Irish. Great. That's Vince back in the studio. Thanks for sharing, buddy. Now, 34. There's your update, folks. 34 to 10. Now, you also do some launch support for the Air Force. What's involved there? What exactly is your mission?
That's right. This is, like I said before, this is one of the most unique bases as far as small boat bases in the Coast Guard, because we provide support to NASA and the 45th Space Wing. We have a boat on scene enforcing the huge safety zone that's outside the launch areas.
So what you're getting rid of any boaters that may come in the
basically
zone?
just monitoring the safety zone, make sure everybody is outside that zone in the fallout area from a possible mishap that would occur during a launch. So,
and we just had a launch, so you were out there supporting
yes,
that.
sir. That launch was delayed 3 times, but we were out there every single time until really good relationship with those guys over there. They're great people to work with. They keep us informed. The only thing I could say about the Air Force is, when I first got here, that was the first thing I wanted to do, was get out there and watch a launch. And we happened to have one like a week later. I took over command on 1 June. Got out there. It was picking up something awful. It was around 8 foot, pretty nasty. And we were inside the safety zone. Once the launch goes off, they give you a safety zone for us to get to. Well, it was so nasty, and they think we're in an airplane. Well, the boat doesn't go as quite as fast as an airplane, so we're just, hey, light that candle. We're not going to make it outside, get this thing launched, So they're coming around to the fact that we can't travel as fast as their aircraft, but you know, we get the job done.
That's very interesting.
Well, the other thing is, you have the birthday, but I know you guys show up for the Military Affairs Council meetings, which is awesome. And you'll probably host one again. I know your predecessor, we hosted one out there in ABET Project Help. We're looking forward to doing something like that because it introduces the local business community to everything that you got going on out there. But give us a sense, how many troops you got under your command here at the fort?
Okay, first I want to go back to that birthday thing. Those guys, we had about 400 people that showed up to the Coast Guard station out here.
Wow.
Surprised me. This is my first Coast Guard day in the area. We had some great sponsors, including you guys from ABET were out there. We had Navy League, Military Affairs Council, as you said. The Coast Guard Exchange System set up booths. We had the Propeller Club, the Civ Mill was out there. Coast Guard Auxiliary cooked. We had a great time. The kids had bouncy houses, and you know, we just want to thank all the people for their support in the area. It was outstanding. The 50 active duty guys is what we have on there, men and women. We also have a reserve force of about that same amount. The reserve force at one time used to be about 120, but that was with the shuttle mission. So we had taken a little bit of a hit when the shuttle mission went away in the reserve force.
So do they do their drill out there on your station then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They come out and perform with us. Our reserve force at Fort Canaveral has been received several awards for their readiness. If you look on the weekends, you're going to see just about every Coast Guard boat I have moving. It's going to be on the water doing something. These people are highly motivated. They get out there and patrol the waterways and maintain currency beyond what they're required to. And that's what's key. These guys do it because they love it.
That's outstanding. For those boaters who like to get closer and closer to the launches, it's sneaking in that zone we were talking about, what kind of penalties might they be facing?
They could face a $10,000 fine.
Ow.
Or worse. You got to remember, we are armed when we're out there. Those boats carry the M240 machine gun on board the bow. So if you see two Coast Guard boats working in tandem and you see that person mounting the maw, which we call the maw, you see that person up there standing, stand clear, because we mean business. We're out there, like I said before, that was the mission I taught for 4 years while I was at Camp Lejeune, was this mission. It's a dangerous mission because enforcing a 500-yard security zone, you got to make some split-second decisions. You know, let's say a vessel's traveling at 30 knots, 500 yards, you can cover that pretty quick. So there's a lot of steps and a lot of responsibility we put on these junior members. Some of them aren't even old enough to drink, and they're out there making these decisions. So what we ask is when you see us around a cruise ship or around a submarine or enforcing one of these zones, give us some space. It'll be over quickly. That's right. And we'll be out of your way, and we'll give you the task direction. Call us on the radio. We'll give you the information that you need to know, and be out of your way. Everybody be safe, and you know, we'll get on with our day.
What channel would they call on? 16?
Channel 16. Yes, sir. Call us on Channel 16, and the boats on scene will give you the task direction, or have you stand by until the vessel passes safely. And like I said, it's a minor inconvenience for what we did.
Oh yeah. Well, for you boaters out there who want to sneak in a little closer, I hope you paid attention to the recent conversation there.
And folks, we are talking with Commander B. Terry. He's the new commander at the U.S. Coast Guard Station, Fort Canaveral. We are going to have, this is the inaugural bosun call. It's going to be a regular segment on American Warrior Radio. So if you have questions or comments that you want to make, you know you can always call us at 631-1300. 631-1300, and we'll get the information and hopefully get an answer for you regarding that. But we want to introduce you to the local troops that are making all this happen, and the commander is taking some time today to share with us. And what do you think about the environment? Here we're doing the live remote from O'Shucks Seafood Bar. We've got the National Kidney Foundation Pro-Am surf event going on. What activities? Now I understand there's going to be a special activity, and we've got a guest coming up in the second part. that you gave some clearance to. We're not going to divulge all the, but the Coast Guard's playing a key role in that even tomorrow at noon.
Right, working with the Marine Safety Detachment, there's been approval for a marine event to go on out here, and we're gonna provide a Coast Guard response boat out here just to observe the event. I don't know if you want me to tell what's going to happen, but anyway, it's going to be exciting. We're going to be there. It got through really quickly with the help of like I said, the Marine Safety Detachment. They're the ones in charge of permitting. So if any kind of marine event or any inspection that occurs on the water, they basically do the permitting and the licensing for that, and I'm in the response department and enforcement, so we go out and basically make sure everything goes out without a hitch.
Well, outstanding. And just out of curiosity, do you run into much drug smuggling in this area?
You know, the Cutter Vigilant, which ties up over here at the base, recently offloaded, I want to say it was close to a ton of cocaine right here at Port Canaveral. We had FBI, we had CGI, we had DEA all on the base offloading from their trips, but most of that came from south, came from down in the Caribbean, deep south in the Caribbean. The closest interdiction mission that you could probably, Fort Pierce does an interdiction mission down there just because of they're close to the Bahamas.
Yeah, that's right.
And mention on the ship itself, they have little logos or decals.
Right.
The snowflake is for a cocaine bust.
Yes,
I
sir.
noticed it was littered with snowflakes.
That's right.
What is it, marijuana leaves and all
Right.
So,
That's exactly right.
and that's home ported here, the Vigilant.
The Vigilance home ported here. The Cutter Confidence is actually underway in the Caribbean right now. They're down there. Commander Passarelli, I talked to him over the internet yesterday. They're doing fine. They didn't have much problems with Isaac because they were down there where it all came
I'm glad
from.
you brought that up. What exactly do our local Coast Guardsmen and women do during hurricanes, and what did they do during Isaac here?
During Isaac, what happened here is with the turn more to the west, what we did is we became a host. We became a host for several of the cutters down south. We had 3 of the new fast response cutters that's home ported in Miami actually come up here, and No2 was a gracious host to those guys and put them up for the night. And they tied up over there. We had a 110-foot patrol boat tie up here in Port Canaveral, as well as 4 other small 87-foot patrol boats.
Awesome. Now, we've run out of time during this first segment. Commander B. Perry, thank you so much for joining us. It's the Bosun's Call. Listen for it every episode on American Warrior Radio. Again, sir, thank you so much for joining us. We're looking forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
Stick with us. We'll be right back on American Warrior Radio.